Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to your Geeks Who Drink Pub Quiz on Twitch. I'm here as your host this evening, Quizmaster Smiles, also known as QM Smiles if you're fancy. So excited to be with you all this evening. I do see several folks did get it right in the chat. You guessed correctly. It feels like it's been a minute since I've been here. It's so good to be back with y'all here on this Monday evening. You all know the drill. Those of you who are here every week, I'm going to go over a quick spiel about how all this nonsense works, and then we'll get started with your quiz this evening. As always, we will have 7 rounds of questions for you all, 8 questions per round. Most of the time, you get 1 answer per question. That gives you 1 point per answer, correct answer, and that gets you 8 points per round. We do, as always, have our extra special double point rounds. That's, of course, the usual 16-point round 2, round 6, and round 7. So they are the usual ones, no special rounds tonight. And of course, if you use that joker to double your score, you're going to want to use it on a 16-point round. Even a perfect score in an 8-point round, usually less than you'd get on a 16-point round. So thank me later. Use that joker on round 2, 6, or 7. But y'all are the ones keeping score. I'm not keeping score for you. That's your job. And then, of course, you can feel free to compare your score with your fellow online quizzers here at the end of the quiz. All right, I think that's all the important stuff. What say we get started with our quiz this evening? Let's get it moved over to our quiz. So excited for our quiz this evening. First off, your round number 1 is, of course, an 8-point round. I just explained that. If you've forgotten already, that's okay. That's why I'm here, to remind you of the important things. Round number 1 is just an 8-point round. Tonight it is called Nice Glasses Nerd. This is me talking to myself. Anyway, in this round, every answer will have exactly 4 eyes. Get it? 4 eyes. Yeah, you got it. It's a pun. All right, so exactly 4 of the letter I will be in every answer in this round. Here we go. Question number 1 for your round number 1. Here's your question 1. Pine Sol, Barks Root Beer, and arguably the blues were all invented in what deep South state? Again, this is question number 1 for your first round of the evening. Pine Sol, Barks Root Beer, and arguably the blues were all invented in what deep South state? All right, y'all, moving on to question number 2. I do see a question in the chat. If there's a dog at my house, there is, but you definitely didn't hear him. He does not bark very often unless there's people here. Anyway, moving on to question number 2. Question number 2. Winning for Everything I Wanted and Bad Guy, what pop star has 5 Record of the Year Grammy nods in the last 6 years? Again, this is question number 2. Winning for Everything I Wanted and Bad Guy, what pop star has 5 Record of the Year Grammy nods in the last 6 years? They've been busy. Little elevator coffee shop music there in between the questions. Moving on to question number 3, trying out a new playlist. Here's your question 3. Dead Reckoning Part 1 was renamed to just Dead Reckoning this year when Paramount released the 8th film in what series? Again, this is question number 3. Dead Reckoning Part 1 was renamed to just Dead Reckoning this year when Paramount released the 8th film in what series? All right, we're moving on to question at number 4. Here's your question 4. Anthony Mackie and Robert Redford made their MCU debuts in what film in which both Chris Evans and Sebastian Stan both played title roles? Again, this is question at number 4. Anthony Mackie and Robert Redford, RIP, made their MCU debuts in what film in which Chris Evans and Sebastian Stan both played title roles? All right, sports fans, you're halfway through your round number 1. This is the time for me to remind you that all of your answers should have 4 of the letter I in your answers. If any of your previous answers don't fit that rule, it's wrong. So fix that. Moving on to question number 5. Here's your question 5. Ice-T says he was only supposed to be on 4 episodes of what Law and Order show that's now employed him for a quarter of a century? I feel old. Again, this is question number 5. Ice-T says he was only supposed to be on 4 episodes of what Law and Order show that's now employed him for a quarter century? All right, question number 6. Here's your question 6. Known for her early role in the Addams Family movies, what former child star said Jenna Ortega is amazing? Wednesday is her part now. Again, this is question at number 6. Known for her early role in the Addams Family movies, what former child star said Jenna Ortega is amazing? Wednesday is her part now. Question number 7 coming at you. Here's your question 7. According to Sid Meier himself, Mahatma Gandhi was never a nuke launching madman. And what strategy game series that got a 7th installment this year? Again, this is your question number 7. According to Sid Meier himself, Mahatma Gandhi was never a nuke launching madman. And what strategy game series that got a 7th installment this year? All right, y'all, it's time for your last question of this round. Before we get to that bonus question, here is your question number 8. 5 out of 5 dentists agree there's a major correlation between heart disease and what? Inflammation of the gums. Again, this is question number 8. 5 out of 5 dentists agree there's a major correlation between heart disease and what? Inflammation of the gums. All right, y'all, we've made it to our first bonus question of the evening for your round number one. And this Hall & Oates dress up features hockey icon Gritty and the mascot of what baseball team with the Liberty Bell in its logo? Once again, your bonus question. This Hall & Oates dress up features hockey icon Gritty and the mascot of what baseball team with the Liberty Bell in its logo? Just name the name of the team for your bonus question. Let's go back and do all of your answers for round number one. Good news here, Geeks Who Drink. Spelling does not matter as long as you have the four eyes. You have to have the four eyes for this particular round to get points. First off, question number one. Pine Sol, Barks root beer, my favorite kind of root beer, and arguably the blues were all invented in Mississippi, which we've all known how to spell since about kindergarten. So hopefully you spelled that correctly. Moving on to question number two. The pop star that has 5 Record of the Year Grammy nods in the last 6 years. She's been very busy. That would be Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish for question number two. Moving on to question number three. I missed this part of the news where they changed the name from Dead Reckoning Part 1 to just Dead Reckoning, unless that was 7 and 8. I have not watched those, obviously. These are Mission Impossible movies. Mission Impossible for question number three. Moving on to question number four. Robert Redford is part of the MCU verse. He did get in there before he passed away this year. That movie that he was in that made his debut was Captain America: The Winter Soldier. You do need the whole thing to get all the eyes in, but you're scoring yourself. So if you put Winter Soldier, you're like, I knew what movie it was. You can give yourself points if you want. I'm not the judge. You are. All right, well, halfway through our answers for question number five. Ice-T was only supposed to be on 4 episodes. I don't understand why anyone thought that was all, but anyway, he's been very successful on the Special Victims Unit, SVU, of Law and Order. All right, y'all, moving on to your question number six. Question number six. And we have made it to the time of year where we are watching these movies, or at least I am. I save them for Halloween every year because I love them so much, the Addams Family movies. Anyway, the OG Wednesday from those films, the Addams Family and Addams Family Values, is Christina Ricci, who gives full approval of the Jenna Ortega version. All right, moving on to question number seven. According to the game maker, Mahatma Gandhi was never a nuke launching madman in the Civilization series. I'm not personally familiar, and some of you in the chat disagree with Gandhi not being nuke loving, but here we are. Civilization was your answer for question number seven. Finally, your question number eight. There's a major correlation between heart disease and gingivitis. So make sure you floss and or use mouthwash or do whatever you need to. Get rid of that gingivitis. All right, y'all, it is time to give you your bonus answer. I enjoy this dress up with Gritty and the mascot of the Philadelphia Phillies. So you did need Philadelphia to get all 4 eyes, but I was lazy. You're welcome. You just had to give me Phillies. Round number 3 is a half in the bag, the Celestial Edition. Let me move my face. There you go. Celestial Edition. Those of you who've played these games before know how this works for this round. Each question is a clue about a 2-word phrase, and we'll even give you one of the 2 words. You just fill in the blank with the missing word. That's where we get half in the bag from, and it will be a celestial themed round. So again, I'll give you a clue to a 2-word phrase, and one of the words you supply the missing word. Here we go. Here's question number 1 for your round number 3. Question 1. The sugary juice brand that comes in little pouches called Doy Packs, a thing I just learned right now. Anyway, that's what sun? Again, this is question number 1. For your round number 3, the sugary juice brand that comes in little pouches called Doy Packs, that's what sun? All right, y'all, moving on to question number 2. And as we do, don't mind Bernie. He's almost 13, so he literally cares about no one else but me and cheese. Moving on to question number 2. Here's your question 2. The Samsung phone, whose 7th generation had a bad habit of catching on fire, that was a Galaxy what? Again, this is question number 2. The Samsung phone, whose 7th generation had a bad habit of catching on fire, that's a Galaxy what? All right, moving on to question number 3 for your round 3. Here's question 3. The prepackaged southern dessert that's traditionally eaten with an RC cola, that's a moon what? Again, this is question number 3. The prepackaged southern dessert that's traditionally eaten with an RC cola, that's a moon what? Moving on to question number 4. Here's your question 4. The restaurant that's been a Pixar Easter egg since Toy Story, that's what planet? Again, this is question number 4. The restaurant that's been a Pixar Easter egg since way back in Toy Story, that's what planet? All right, y'all, you're halfway through the celestial themed half in the background. Here's question number 5. The Wes Anderson film that was made in Spain, not the American Southwest, that's Asteroid what? Again, this is question number 5. The Wes Anderson film that was made in Spain, not the American Southwest, it's Asteroid what? Question number 6 coming at you. Here's your question 6. The Brazilian music style that roughly translates to new wave. That's what nova? Makes me want to listen to some. Again, this is question number 6. The Brazilian music style that roughly translates to new wave. That's what nova? Question number 7 is up next. Here's your question number 7. The horror video game series starring undead stomping engineer Isaac Clarke. That's what space? Again, this is question number 7. The horror video game series starring undead stomping engineer Isaac Clarke. That's what space? All right, it's time for the last question of this round before we do that bonus. Here is your question number 8. The nickname for NASA's nausea inducing planes that get you used to zero G, that's what comets? Again, this is question number 8. The nickname for NASA's nausea inducing planes that get you used to zero G, they're called what comets? All right, y'all, it is time for a bonus question for your round number 3. Here is your question. Despite the name, Celestial Seasonings doesn't sell any standalone spices. It's a brand of what beverage? Again, this is your bonus question for round number 3. Despite the name, Celestial Seasonings doesn't sell any standalone spices. It's instead a brand of what beverage? Let's go ahead and do your answers for your round number 3. See how y'all did on this half in the back round. First off, going back to that question number 1, I did not know they were called Doi packs until today. I may be Googling that for more information later because I feel the need to go down that rabbit hole. Anyway, that sugary juice brand is Capri Sun for question number 1. Moving on to question number 2, that Samsung phone that caught on fire, that was a Galaxy Note for question 2. Moving on to question number 3. The Southern dessert prepackaged that's eaten with an RC Cola, and I feel like I'm getting diabetes just from hearing that. Anyway, it's a moon pie for question number 3. Also, now I want dessert. Moving on to question number 4. The Pixar Easter egg is, of course, Pizza Planet. Why don't we actually have one? I would love one. I would love to go to one. Pizza. Moving on to question number 5. That Wes Anderson film that was made in Spain, not the American Southwest, was Asteroid City. Sure looks like the Southwest, but it was a lie. It was a lie. Moving on to your question number 6, question 6, that Brazilian music style is bossa nova. Bossa for question number 6. Moving on to question number 7, the horror video game series with that undead stomping engineer is called Dead Space because of course it is Dead Space. Moving on to your last question of this round before your bonus question at number 8. Those nausea-inducing planes are the vomit comets. Love that, vomit comet for your question number 8. Question 8. Now we're going to move on to your bonus. It's time to move on to your bonus. Celestial Seasonings is not a spice company, even though that would make sense. It is instead a brand of tea. It is a brand of tea for your bonus question. All right, moving on now to your round number 4. It is time for another 8-point round. For those of you who may have jokered round number 2, or those of you who didn't joker round number 2, rather, you're probably wondering, when should I use my joker? Not now. Hopefully you didn't use it on round 3. You don't want to use it on round 4. You're going to save it for round 6 or round 7. The last 2 rounds are the remaining rounds worth that 16 points. Right now, your round number 4 is another 8-point round, which tonight is called Annie Up. Not to be confused with the classic 90s film Annie O. No, Annie Up is your theme of your round number 4. It's a round on Annies. A round on Annies. Here we go. Question number 1. For your round number 4, here's your question 1. Killed by Michael Myers in the original movie, Annie Brackett narrowly survived the 2007 remake of what slasher film? Again, this is question number 1. Killed by Mike Myers in the original movie, Annie Brackett narrowly survived the 2007 remake of what slasher film? All right. So sorry to lose you if you do have to leave and go to bed. East Coasters, I know it's a little late for you. It's not quite as late for me here in Texas. We're moving on to question number two now. Question number two. Sitting Bull gave the nickname Lil Sure Shot to what markswoman who could split a playing card at 30 paces? Again, this is question number two. Sitting Bull gave the nickname Lil Sure Shot to what markswoman who could split a playing card at 30 paces? Question number three is up next. Here's your question three. At one point in the musical Annie, the title orphan gets FDR and his whole cabinet to sing what optimistic tune? Again, this is question number three. At one point in the musical Annie, the title orphan gets FDR and his whole cabinet to sing what optimistic tune? All right, it's round number four, and it's time for your question number four. In your round four, here's question four. Annie Proulx's collection, Close Range Wyoming Stories, featured what award winning tale about the love between Jack and Enos? Again, this is question number four. Annie Proulx's collection, Close Range Wyoming Stories, featured what award winning tale about the love between Jack and Enos? All right, y'all, you're halfway through this round number four, all about different Annies. Here's your question number five. Annie Leibovitz didn't like this photo that she took, but it was used anyway for the cover of what seminal 1984 album? Again, this is question number five. Annie Leibovitz didn't like this photo she took, but it was used anyway for the cover of what seminal 1984 album? Question number six is coming up next. Here's your question six. A throat infection forced Annie Lennox to pull out of what 1985 benefit concert organized by Bob Geldof? Again, this is question number six. A throat infection forced Annie Lennox to pull out of what 1985 benefit concert organized by Bob Geldof? Question number seven is up next. Here's question seven. Played on screen by Kathy Bates, Annie Wilkes flipped out when her favorite novelist, Paul Sheldon, killed off what character? Again, this is question number seven. Played on screen by Kathy Bates, Annie Wilkes flipped out when her favorite novelist, Paul Sheldon, killed off what character? All right, we've made it to the last question. Before that, bonus, here is your question number 8. Annie Farmer and Annie Millwood died in 1888 in London, both suspected victims of what killer who also definitely murdered Annie Chapman? I wonder if it was a thing about Annie. Again, this is question number 8. Annie Farmer and Annie Millwood died in 1888 in London, both suspected victims of what killer who also definitely murdered Annie Chapman? All right, y'all, we've made it to another bonus question. This year, Creature Commandos editor Annie DeBrock was nominated for an Annie Award, given for what art form that Annie is short for? Again, this is question number bonus. It's your bonus for round number 4. This year, Creature Commandos editor Annie DeBrock was nominated for an Annie Award, given for what art form that Annie is short for? Your answers for this Annie filled round number 4. First off, question number 1. Mike Myers is in the original and also the remake, the slasher film in 2007. This is Halloween. We were asking about Halloween for question number 1. We're in the month of Halloween. I'm so excited. Moving on to question number 2. Lil Sure Shot was the nickname of Annie Oakley, which is what I dressed up for Halloween as in the 3rd grade. I had very cool turquoise boots that were awesome as my Annie Oakley. Moving on to question number 3. In the musical Annie, they get FDR and his whole cabinet to sing Tomorrow, which is a song hopefully you don't have to hear very often. Moving on to question number 4. That award winning tale between Jack and Ennis, that was the Brokeback Mountain OG short story from that collection by that Annie. Brokeback Mountain for question number 4. Moving on to question number 5. Annie Leibovitz, famous photographer, did not like this photo, but Bruce Springsteen still decided to use it for Born in the USA. That was the Born in the USA album cover. Moving on to your question number 6. Question 6. That throat infection forced Annie Lennox to pull out of the 1985 Live Aid concert. Unfortunately, was not able to participate because of that Live Aid, because of the throat infection. Moving on to question number 7. Annie Wilkes flipped out when her favorite novelist Paul Sheldon killed off a character, and it was the name of the movie Misery. Specifically, Misery Chastain was the name of that character, Misery Chastain. Moving on to your question number 8. Question 8. All of those Annies are suspected and definite victims of Jack the Ripper. You'd think it'd be something about Annie, but probably was just because the number of people that were named Annie back in those days. Anyway, let me remind you of your question for your round number 4 bonus. Creature Commandos editor, her name is Annie. She was nominated for an Annie, and Annie is the short form for animation. Animation is what that award is for. All right, y'all, it is time to move on to our round number 5. As always, round number 5 is an 8-point round, and it will be your movie or TV show clip round. That's right. For any of you who, like me, might be really, really bad at the music round, I am so bad at the music round, and I much prefer round number 5, typically movies and TV shows. And I'm very extra excited about your round number 5 this evening. For any of you who get our newsletter, you already know what the round number 5 theme is going to be because we told you in today's newsletter. If you're like, newsletter, what newsletter? We send a newsletter every Monday. It's a perfect reminder to come play with us here on Twitch with Geeks Who Drink. You can go to our website to sign up. Anyway, Let me get you to your round number 5. Round number 5 today is called Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Yes, it is Indigenous Peoples Day, and we are celebrating today by looking at some movies and TV shows. It's both portraying Indigenous North Americans on screen. So in this round, you're going to see those 8 clips, a mix of movies and TV shows. You'll see all the clips through once, and then you will see them a second time after repeats. It's going to be another break, so there is a break coming up after this next round. But good luck on this Indigenous Peoples themed round number 5. Let me get you over to your video. Good luck, y'all.
Y'all wouldn't have seen a stolen food truck, would you? Huh? Crazy. Broad daylight. Someone stole the truck. Apparently it was full of chips. Damn truck full of chips. I've never seen anything like that. Getting crazy out here. Yeah. Criminals.
I am suddenly feeling a strong connection to this baby. I have felt this before with Bridget, but not with a human baby. This must be the reason humans do not eat their young.
Your little one feels it, doesn't she?
She is less pissed, even happy.
Baba Wally!
Cupboards are bare in the Elder's Lodge. We're so tired and sore. We lift the band, Wayne.
Got plenty of fresh produce on the farm. Yous are welcome to it.
Team is the Kaya Northern Lights. Basketball's a big deal in Kaya.
Woohoo! Let's go, Northern Lights!
Oh, I hear there's gonna be tough competition in Ninana this year.
Woohoo! Looking forward to seeing you knock down those 3-pointers.
Daylight. Someone stole the truck. Apparently it was full of chips. Damn truck full of chips. I've never seen anything like that. Getting crazy out here.
This must be the reason humans do not eat their young.
Your little one feels it, doesn't she?
She is less pissed.
Cupboards are bare in the Elder's Lodge. We're so tired and sore. We lift the band, Wayne.
Got plenty of fresh produce on the farm. Yous are welcome to it.
Northern Lights. Basketball's a big deal in Kaya.
Woohoo! Let's go, Northern Lights!
Oh, I hear there's gonna.
It's time for me to give you your answers to round number 5, and we'll see how y'all did. We'll see how y'all did on that round number 5. I enjoyed watching it. Hopefully you enjoyed playing it. Here are your answers to round number 5. First off, question number 1. I've only made it halfway through this movie. I do need to finish it. Anyway, it's Killers of the Flower Moon for question number 1. Killers of the Flower Moon. Moving on to question. It's just a long movie. It's very long. Question number 2 is a great show. Reservation Dogs for your question 2. Reservation Dogs. Canceled too soon. Question number 3 is actually a Disney film I have not yet seen. I will watch it eventually. Brother Bear for question number 3. Brother Bear. Moving on to question number 4. I love a good Alan Tudyk. This was a Resident Alien for question 4. Resident Alien. Moving on to question number 5. This is another show that's Letterkenny for question 5. Well, I've heard of that show but not seen it. I would not have guessed that one. Question number 6. Small mini-series from last year. It's called Echo for question 6. Feel like that was a deep cut. Feel free to let me know in the chat if you got that one right. Question number 7. That animated show is Molly of Denali. Love a good rhyming name, Molly of Denali for question 7. Last but not least, question number 8. That film was Prey, part of the Predator series, I do believe. All right, y'all. So that was your round number 5 answers. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Obviously, I didn't see the answer of the day. If you didn't see answer of the day was that Echo. So hopefully you saw that Echo was the answer of the day and you correctly guessed it was that question on your round number 5. Way to go. Way to go. All right, y'all, we're going to keep things moving right along. It is now time for round number 6, which means it is time for another 16-point round. If any of you have not used your Joker, round number 6 is going to be worth double points, or you can save it for round 7. Round 7 also worth double points, so feel free to Joker whichever one you feel more confident on. Let me tell you about your round number 6 tonight. I'm excited about this round. Round number 6 is called This Round Melts in Your Mouth, Not in Your Hand. It melts in your mouth, not in your hand, because today is National M&M Day. So every answer in this round of 2-part questions will start with the letter M. You'll get 1 point for a correct answer. So each question will have 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. Each answer will start with an M, and each correct answer is worth 1 point. No penalties for wrong answers, so let's get into it. Here is your question number 1 for your round number 6. Question number 1, part 1. Created in 1981, what Nintendo mascot was originally named Mr. Video? And part 2, created in 1987, what double-M'd video game robot started as an assistant to Dr. Light? All right, remember, all of your answers in this round will start with the letter M, including both of the answers here for question number 1. Part 1, created in 1981, what Nintendo mascot was originally named Mr. Video? And part 2, created in 1987, what double-M'd video game robot started as an assistant to Dr. Light? All right, question number 2 coming at you. Here's question number 2. Part 1, an alien played by Robin Williams on Happy Days was the center of what ABC spinoff? And part 2, quite possibly an alien as well, Facebook's 4th most followed account is for what bumbling British character? Again, this is question number 2. Part 1, an alien played by Robin Williams on Happy Days was the center of what ABC spinoff? And part 2, quite possibly an alien as well. Facebook's 4th most followed account is for what bumbling British character? All right, question number 3 is up next. Here's question number 3, part 1. What does the M stand for in FEMA? And part 2, what does the M stand for in ASMR? Again, question number 3, these are two abbreviation questions, initialism questions, whatever. Either way, first, what does the M in FEMA stand for? And second, what does the M in ASMR stand for? Moving on to question number 4. Here's question 4, part 1. Melissa McCarthy played a title character in the sitcom Mike and Who. And part 2, The Living Years and All I Need Is a Miracle were hits for Mike and the Whats. Again, this is question number 4. Part 1, Melissa McCarthy played a title character in the sitcom Mike and Who. And part 2, The Living Years and All I Need Is a Miracle were hits for Mike and the Whats. All right, y'all, you're halfway through the 16-point round. Remember, all of your answers start with the letter M for this round. Moving on now to question number 5, part 1. These are some of the oldest known pieces of what game that was invented in the 1800s. And part 2, found in Kenya's highlands. This is one of the earliest known boards of what game that's thousands of years old. Obviously, there are 2 pictures there. The first picture goes for part 1. The second picture goes with part 2. Once again, for question number 5, part 1, these are some of the oldest known pieces of what game that was invented in the 1800s. And part 2, found in Kenya's highlands. This is one of the earliest known boards of what game that's thousands of years old. Question number 6 coming at you. Here's question number 6, part 1. Austin Matthews and Tim Horton are all stars who both played on what Canadian pro sports team? And part 2, opened in 1964 and demolished in 2009, Shea Stadium was the longtime home to what American sports team? That's right. It's a sports question for question number 6. Part 1, Austin Matthews and Tim Horton are all stars who both played on what Canadian pro sports team? And part 2, opened in 1964 and demolished in 2009, Shea Stadium was the longtime home to what American sports team? All right, question number 7. Here is question 7, part 1. What toxic element is Hg on the periodic table? And part 2, it's chemistry, not dentistry, that uses an uppercase M to indicate a substance what mass? Again, this is question number 7. What toxic element is Hg on the periodic table? And part 2, it's chemistry, not dentistry, that uses an uppercase M to indicate a substance. This is what mass? All right, y'all, we've made it to the last question of this round. Other than that, bonus. Here is your question number 8. Part 1, Octavia Spencer starred in what 2019 horror film about a lonely woman terrorizing teens? And part 2, Jessica Chastain starred in what 2013 horror film about girls abandoned in the forest? Both of those sound like things I will not be watching. Once again, this is question number 8, part 1. Octavia Spencer starred in what 2019 horror film about a lonely woman terrorizing teens? And part 2, Jessica Chastain starred in what 2013 horror film about girls abandoned in the forest? All right, y'all, we have made it to another bonus question. Your answer for your bonus question, just like every other question in this round, will start with the letter M. Here is your bonus question for round number 6. M&Ms are named for its 2 creators, the lesser known Bruce Murray and the better known Forrest who? Again, this is your bonus question for round number 6. M&Ms are named for its 2 creators, the lesser known Bruce Murray and the better known Forrest who? All right, y'all, feel free to keep those answers coming in for your bonus question as we move on back to do your answers for your round at number 6. Remember, if you're feeling confident about these answers before I start reading them to you, you can decide if you want to joker this round to double your score. Or, of course, you could save it for round number 7 if you haven't used it yet. Round number 7 is also a 16-point round. Let's see how y'all did on this 16-point round number 6. Going back to your question number 1, part 1. That Mr. Video was the original name for Mario. Aren't we glad they changed it? And for part 2, that double-M'd video game robot assistant to Dr. Light is Mega Man. Mario and Mega Man for question number 1. Moving on to question number 2, part 1. The alien, played by Robin Williams, was the center of the ABC spinoff Mork and Mindy. Now, I'm familiar with Mork and Mindy, but I do not remember an alien in Happy Days. Clearly, I haven't seen all the episodes. And part 2 of this one, quite possibly an alien himself, Mr. Bean is the 4th most followed account on Facebook, Mr. Bean. Feel like Mork and Mr. Bean would have been friends. Moving on to question number 3, part 1. Oh, that's a typo on the screen. Gonna report that back to the editor. Anyway, but the M in FEMA stands for management, while the M in ASMR stands for meridian. So management and meridian for question number 3. Question number 4, that Melissa McCarthy show was Mike and Molly. And part 2, those songs were hits for Mike and the Mechanics. Another double M. I love an alliteration. Who doesn't love an alliteration? I certainly do. All right, moving on to your question number 5. This was your picture aided question. First, those pieces on top there were the oldest known pieces known for mahjong, created in the 1800s. And somewhat more impressive, because it's thousands of years old, that bottom is an example of a Mancala board game. I do love a Mancala. I do love a Mancala. Moving on to question number 6, your question number 6, part 1. That Canadian sports team that Tim Horton played for was the Maple Leafs. And part 2, Shea Stadium was the longtime home to the Mets. It was the Mets for part 2. I guess name a sports team that starts with M in Canada would give you Maple Leafs, and then Mets. I don't know. There's more than one M in the United States. I wouldn't have gotten that one. Moving on to your question number 7. Question 7. Hg is the element abbreviation for mercury on the periodic table. And in chemistry, they use an M to indicate a molar mass, as in mole, as in Avogadro's number, as in a holiday we celebrate in October, if you're nerdy. Moving on to question number 8. These are both films I'm going to not be watching. First, the Octavia Spencer film from 2019 was Ma, and second, that Jessica Chastain film was Mama. I do remember the trailers for Ma. I can't say I remember the ones for Mama, but please feel free to let me know in the chat what you thought about those films if you saw them. All right, y'all. And finally, your bonus question is M&M's were made for its 2 creators. The lesser known one is Murray. The more commonly known one, because he owns like everything, that would be Mars. Mars, as in the candy brand. You all know what time it is, don't you? I hope you know what time it is. It's time for your last and final round of quiz.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Yes, that's right. We've made it to your last and final round of the quiz. Your final round, as always, is a random knowledge round. It's 8 questions worth 16 points. The way we get to 16 is that some of the questions are going to have multiple parts and be worth multiple points. All you have to do is play close attention, because sometimes the order matters. Again, I'm not giving you the scores, so as long as you remember which answers go to which part, you can give yourself all the scores there. But, you know, if you're playing live, the order would matter on some of those multiple part questions. If you have not used your Joker, now is the time to use it. The way it works in live quizzes is you get it automatically in this round, but you're scoring your points here, so just remember to give it to yourselves if you haven't used it already. All right, here we go, y'all. Here is your question number 1 for round number 7. It is worth 1 point. Just one answer for your question number 1. Sourced from Swedish forests and sent to all corners of the globe, IKEA serves its meatballs aside traditional jam made from what fruits? Why you gotta do me like that, geeks? Now I'm really hungry. I want those. Again, this is question number 1 for your final round. Sourced from Swedish forests and sent to all corners of the globe, IKEA serves its meatballs aside traditional jam made from what fruits? All right, moving on to question number 2. Question number 2 is 2 points, 2 answers for question number 2. For about 3 weeks in January 1948, the first guy to fly an airplane at Kitty Hawk and the guy who recorded Danger Zone for Top Gun were alive at the same moment. Name those 2 men. Once again for question number 2, for about 3 weeks in January 1948, the first guy to fly an airplane at Kitty Hawk and the guy who recorded Danger Zone for Top Gun were alive at the same time. Name those 2 dudes. All right, question number 3 coming at you. Here is your question 3. Seen here, someone's whose name I'm definitely going to mispronounce, and I apologize in advance. Seen here, Yulia Tymoshenko was credited with increasing the popularity of the crown braid after being elected what European country's prime minister in 2005? Actually, I don't think I did as badly with that name as I thought I was going to. Anyway, again for question number 3. Seen here, Yulia Tymoshenko was credited with increasing the popularity of the crown braid after being elected what European country's prime minister in 2005? All right, moving on to question number 4. Question number 4 is worth 3 points. 3 answers for question number 4, and the order is going to matter here because for this question, you are naming the video game franchises that feature these fictional cities. Heck, we're even going to spot you the year for these video game franchises. First is 2007, Rapture is your fictional city. Second is 1997, Liberty City. And third is 2020, Night City. So once again, for question number 4, you're naming the video game franchises that feature these fictional cities along with the year for the franchise. First is 2007, Rapture. Second is 1997, Liberty City. And third is 2020, Night City. All right, moving on to question number 5. Question 5 is worth 1 point. 1 answer for question 5. What dance teaching song was the top 10 hit in 1962 for Little Eva, in 1974 for Grand Funk Railroad, and in 1988 for Kylie Minogue? Yes, it is just 1 answer here for question number 5. What dance teaching song was a top 10 hit in 1962 for Little Eva, in 1974 for Grand Funk Railroad, and in 1988 for Kylie Minogue? All right, question number 6 is once again worth 3 points. 3 answers for question 6, and the order does matter here again for question number 6 because this is about which oceans are these gulfs a part of. First is the Persian Gulf, second is the Motovsky Gulf, and third is the Gulf of Guinea. Once again, for question number 6, tell me which ocean these gulfs are a part of. First is the Persian Gulf, second is the Motovsky Gulf, and third is the Gulf of Guinea. Question number 7 is another 1 point, 1 answer for question number 7. As an homage to Spielberg, a door keypad in the Bond film Moonraker used the 5-note theme from what 1977 blockbuster? Again, this is question number 7. As an homage to Spielberg, a door keypad in the Bond film Moonraker used the 5-note theme from what 1977 blockbuster? right, we've made it. This is the last question of your quiz, other than your final bonus question. Question number 8 is worth 4 points. Once again, the order does matter here because for this one, you are naming each sitcom from its theme song lyrics. Yes, so theme song lyrics, name these sitcoms. First, the biggest gift in would be from me. Second, taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Third, the autotrophs began to drool. And fourth, stay dead, stay dead, stay dead. You're dead and out of this world. I have so many questions. Once again, for question number 8, you are naming the sitcom from the theme song lyrics. First, the biggest gift would be from me. Second, taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Third, the autotrophs began to drool. And fourth, stay dead, stay dead, stay dead. You're dead and out of this world. All right, as promised, we have arrived at the actual last question of the quiz. That is your final bonus question, saying it must be time for my 100,000-mile checkup. What 79-year-old country legend recently had to postpone her Las Vegas residency to visit the doctor? I'm only asking for a first name here because she only needs one. She only needs her first name. You only need her first name for this bonus question. Once again, your bonus for round number 7, saying it must be time for my 100,000-mile checkup. What 79-year-old country legend recently had to postpone her Las Vegas residency to visit the doctor? Let's see how y'all did on this final 16-point round. Feel free to keep those bonus answers continuing in the chat as we go through these final answers. Question number 1, IKEA serves its meatballs aside jam made from ligonberry. Ligonberry jam. Delicious. Moving on to question number 2. The 2 men who were alive for about 3 weeks at the same time in January of 1948 was the first guy to fly an airplane at Kitty Hawk. That was Orville, right? And the guy who recorded Danger Zone for Top Gun, that would be Kenny Loggins. Good old Kenny Loggins for part 2. Moving on to question number 3. Seen here, it, unfortunately not representing Alderaan. This was the Prime Minister of Ukraine, starting in 2005. Ukraine for question number 3. Moving on to question number 4. This was your video game franchise based on the fictional cities and release year. 2007 in Rapture is BioShock. 1997 Liberty City is Grand Theft Auto, and 2020 Night City is Cyberpunk 2077. For question number 4. Moving on to question number 5. That dance teaching song that was a top 10 hit for all 3 of those artists in those 3 years, that was The Locomotion. For question number 5, that was The Locomotion. Moving on to your question number 6. Question number 6 was, what ocean are these gulfs a part of? The Persian Gulf is part of the Indian Ocean. The Motkovsky Gulf is part of the Arctic Ocean, way up there, I assume somewhere near Russia. And the Gulf of Guinea is part of the Atlantic. So Indian Ocean, Arctic Ocean, and Atlantic Ocean for question 6. Moving on to question number 7. As an homage to Spielberg, the 5-note theme was from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Close Encounters of the Third Kind for question number 7. Moving on to question number 8, your last question of the quiz before that bonus. This was your sitcom one. Love to hear how y'all did on this one. The biggest gift would be from me. That was from, of course, the Golden Girls. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot is from Cheers. The autotrophs began to drool. That's the Big Bang Theory. And the one about staying dead is What We Do in the Shadows. All excellent sitcoms. Hopefully, y'all did really well on that theme song round. It's time now for your final bonus question. That 79-year-old country legend, I think you only need one first name. That would be Dolly Parton for question number bonus. Thanks so much for playing tonight, everyone. It was wonderful to be with you, and we'll see you all next time. So long.